So increased profitability, that word, okay? Increased profit, okay? You will have better communication and results. People will share ideas. It won't just be, I know something, but I'm not going to tell you. Because if I tell you, then you'll be just as smart as me and you might take my job. Ever seen that work? Okay. When we're all working to reduce defects, to improve processes, the key to that is communication. And so this process enables that. And ultimately, you're going to have an increased level of involvement and participation on the part of employees and management. If everybody is zeroed in on improving process with the result of reducing errors and decreasing variation, it takes everybody's involvement regardless of the level. So, why be so good? Okay? Most of us would say 98% is, or 99% is good enough, right? No. That's a 3.8 sigma level. Too short or long landings at most airports every day. Do you want to be on that airplane that's going to land short? So you really don't want to, well, we're 99% successful, but that means we're going to have one or two today that don't make it. We're going to have 15 minutes of unsafe drinking water every day at a 99% level. Do you want to be the one that goes to the tap for a drink of water, and it's your 15 minutes? Nah. You're going to have 750 dropped babies every week in hospitals. Some of you may have already experienced it. And this is the scary one. 200,000 wrong drug prescriptions each year, and that is what's happening. I had one of my students was a pathologist over at Tift Regional, and he said, that's very typical. 200,000 wrong prescriptions every year. If you take prescription medication, watch it like a hawk. It happens more times than what we really want to think about. But at a Six Sigma level at 99.99966, one short or long landing every 5 years. The airline industry has a better than Six Sigma rating in terms of safety. 1 minute of unsafe drinking water every 7 months. Okay. I might be able to live with that. 13 drop babies a year, 68 wrong prescriptions per year. That less than 1% makes a world of difference in terms of quality. So now we get to Tiger Woods. If you played 100 rounds of golf a year and you played at a 2 sigma level, you missed 6 putts per round. That's not Tiger Woods. He's better than that. But he's not at a 3 sigma level. 1 putt per round. At a 4, 1 putt every 9 months. 4 sigma, I could live with that, couldn't you? Any golfers in here? Okay. At a 5, you'd miss 1 putt every 2.33 years, and at a 6 sigma level, you wouldn't even have a chance of missing. Tiger at his best did between 2 and 3. So, looking at apples and oranges, you have 4 different processes. Calling service, 32 plus or minus 5 seconds. Average speed of answer. How many of you like to call any organization and it just ring and ring and ring and ring and nobody picks up?
The tag office in Albany is like that.
Ding!
They never answer the phone. Never.
Anyone that resides in Kirkland?
The VA like that too.
Hmm?
The VA.
My mom passed away, and she had just the day that she died, her Social Security check came in. Whoa. What am I supposed to do with it? Send it back? Where do I send it? I call Social Security office. I called at 8 a.m. Okay? And I'm saying, the average wait time is 2 hours and 40 minutes. Click. I went to the Social Security office the next week because I thought, okay, I'll just drop by there. Same kind of thing. Went in, you had a ticket. I pulled my ticket. I was number 72. You know where they were at? 18. And there's a room full of people. Do you know how many they called in the next 30 minutes? Because that's how long I waited? One. I went to the guard and I said, here's my ticket back. I'll just cash it and let them come get me. So I did. I went to Mom's bank, put it in her account, let it ride. I mean, technically, I know I was supposed to set it back, but, no. Me living, they lived in Thomaston, I lived in Albany. I'm going to have to, no. Billing. My doctor now has gone to a service that does his billing. He's obviously local. You know where the billing company is? Wisconsin. Do you know how happy I am with that? Not very. Okay? 98 plus or minus 1% accuracy. Account receivable. 33 plus or minus 2 days average aging. That means that that's basically 1 month in terms of when I bill to the time we receive the money. Okay? Customer service. 82% rated 4 or 5 on responsiveness. So, which process is performing best? It's not a rhetorical question. Which process is performing best? Okay. Now, what's the problem with all 4 of those measurements? No, they're not negative, but they are different. One is speed of answer, one is accuracy, aging, responsiveness. So here you have 4 different measurements. So converting that over to a Six Sigma format, accounts receivable is performing better than the rest. They get the money. But customer service, not good. So if you're going to put money in, where can you get the most bang for your buck the quickest? Customer service. You got more opportunity there. And so that's where we go with it.
Collecting money, that's why.
Now, that's the age-old thing. We're making money, so why mess with it? If it ain't broke, why do we fix it? We get satisfied at a particular level when in fact we could make some significant improvements and make a real difference. But either because we're apathetic or lethargic or whatever, or we're just used to doing it the same way all the time, we don't make those improvements. Here's a little graph. Notice best in class domestic airline fatality rate. Better than a Six Sigma rating. Notice the worst Sigma rating. The Internal Revenue, tax advice, the phone-in service. Don't ever rely upon those people, because if you call 3 times, you'll get 3 answers. You'll get 3 answers. Most everyone performs at between a 2 and 3 Sigma level. That's average. So what's in it for me? If Six Sigma is utilized in my company, I get to participate. I get to participate. I get to work with a team that improves processes. I can actually develop a real sense of pride and satisfaction. And my job can be a little more challenging. It's not just sitting there watching packages go by and being bored. Did you ever fall asleep? Okay. Yeah. And we get to take what we learned here and actually apply it. Okay? Think about this while we're taking a break. What would keep people from implementing Six Sigma? What would move people toward that? Think about that. What would keep your organization from putting into practice some of these ideas?
It might be too much work.
Too much work?
Resistance to change.
Oh, folks don't like change. Okay. All right. What else?
Cost, they think it's probably cost too much.
Cost too much.
What you said earlier, sometimes individuals just don't want to put no effort into building their company. Some people just, they satisfied.
They're very satisfied. Another factor, turf battles. This department doesn't want anybody from some other department messing with their stuff. Sometimes, and I'll admit, there are some companies that have used Six Sigma as a tool to reduce their workforce. And I tell companies, if you're going to utilize Six Sigma to reduce your workforce, just go ahead and reduce it and be done with it. Because this isn't designed for that. That's not the reason to do this. So what else can you think of anything else that might keep this from happening besides resistance to change, departmental rivalries, cost? Okay? Not understanding how to put it together. All right? All right, let's look at the other side. What could promote this in your organization?
Profit.
Yes. If I can figure out a way to, supposing the company that I know could cut their waste in half from 28 to 14%, do you think their profit might increase? Yeah. Exactly. So if your profit is one good reason, why else? What else would push your organization to do these things? Being able to do both of those things.
Expansion.
Expansion, yes. sometimes just basic need. You know, you're at a point in your organization that without making changes, we're either going to get stuck right here or eventually go backwards. Because the market is constantly changing. Competition. You know, right now Walmart's king. But there's somebody else out there with a mind as sharp as Sam Walton's that will come along with another model.
Dollar General.
Cost, I wish, thank you for mentioning that. I wish I had had the foresight when Dollar General first started to buy stock. They are putting one of those everywhere.
I just hope they don't move like Circuit City. You know, Circuit City they started out like that. They were building, they were trying to compete with Best Buy. And they was building, and all of a sudden everything, the bottom just, wow.
Oh, yeah, bottom line. One thing about Dollar General, where are they located predominantly?
Rural areas.
Rural areas. That and Family Dollar. I think, you know, when you go down, my parents were.
Man, they got about 3 or 4 Dollar Generals in a row down there.
Yeah. You go down 231 from Campbellton, Florida, all the way into Panama City. Every little bird has a Dollar General.
Good pictures of life.
Playing on convenience.
It's convenience. It's an expanded convenience store without the gasoline. Okay? And it's a good model for those kinds of towns, especially where, you have to drive a level, a certain distance for other shopping. Maybe the mom and pop grocery store is no longer available. And it is quick in, quick out. If you're looking for high quality, high class products, probably don't need to go to Dollar General. But if you're looking for something quick, and in certain cases at a more economical price, even than Walmart, place to go. What else would drive it? Well, even if your organization did not buy into this as a whole, what would motivate you to implement these concepts or concepts like this in your area?
To make the process of everything, like we have one set process that we know that's going to reduce costs and basically give us a
Right.
good profit.
In the area over which you have control, you can make it better. Make it function easier. The goal is not to eliminate people. The goal is to help us all to work smarter.
So it's more efficient.
Yes. To be more efficient in the area that you're in. So, as a summary, it's about improving customer satisfaction and loyalty. It's a discipline management philosophy. It's a method for improving process. It does use some statistical tools and techniques. And it ensures accountability by utilizing valid and reliable measurement. Okay, so we'll move from the Six Sigma side of things into Lean. And we'll talk about what it is, some of the benefits, framework, process, and how we do that. All right. How do you define success? There are usually 4 criteria that go into evaluating an organization that measure success. The first is that of a customer focus. Customer service, that's the big buzz term nowadays, right? Hear it everywhere. Give me an example of some place that you shop at, eat at, wherever, that you go to for their customer service?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. Oh, okay. Notice how quick that was? I mean, bang. Why?
They just make you want to come back. They are very pleasant. It's not like McDonald's to me. It's awful on customer service. I mean, they're friendly. Even with taking your money, they're friendly. So, I mean, their prices
Most
are
people, when
high.
they take your money, are friendly unless they
Yeah.
got a gun, okay?
Yeah, their prices are high. They're not very inexpensive, but the people, it just makes you want to come back.
Okay. And you can pretty well bank on the quality.
Right.
Yeah.
Where else?
Starbucks.
Where?
Starbucks.
Starbucks. Okay? Why do you go to Starbucks?
I mean, because they'll just talk to you like, a regular person. They won't just try to get you up the door. They'll actually have a good conversation.
Have a conversation, okay? Where else do you go?
Smoothie King, other place.
Okay, why?
Well, the customer service is on point, and that would be really good recommendations when you go there anyway. So, one of the ones I've been to.
Okay, all right.
A lot of people like Kohl's. Like they say we have very good customer service.
All right. Is that something that y'all emphasize? Big time.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, like men walk in the door, hello, welcome to Kohl's. How can we help you today? Or like we just talk to them, like carry them on a pedestal. Where do you want us to take you?
Okay, I'll think about
I'm
that.
not a people person, but yeah, we.
They really make a difference, all right? Someplace else. Publix.
Oh yes, yes.
Oh, and they are the most expensive grocery store,
They're always first.
okay? But my wife goes there, except for certain items that she goes once a month to Walmart to get. She's Publix loyal. And Winn-Dixie was in town. I went into Winn-Dixie, and it was after school got out, okay, and teenagers running the cash register and bagging, and this young lady's scanning my stuff and carrying on a conversation with the bag boy about what they're going to do after they get off work that I really did not want to hear. And, when she scanned that can of beans for the third time and only had one can, I was like, yeah, I'll just go to Publix, be done with it. Okay? The greatest example of customer service that I've ever experienced was with the car brand Saturn. My wife stopped on the south side of Atlanta and went to a Saturn dealership, and she came home, and I knew from the tone of her voice we were going to buy Saturn, regardless of what obstacles I threw up in her way. And finally she said, you need to go with me, you need to talk to Terry, blah, blah, blah. So I went. And got to meet Terry Jung. And Terry and his family own 3 Saturn dealerships around the Atlanta area. And he had an office right out in the middle of the floor, not somewhere in the back that was guarded by 2 mafia gangsters, and he was right out there. And we sat there, and my concern was the fact that Jonesboro, 160 miles from Albany, how am I, what am I going to do if something happens? And I verbalized that to him. He takes out a business card and writes something on the back, hands it to me. It's his home phone. He said, I'll guarantee you, you can call me. He said, this has got on the front side is my business phone, it's got my cell phone, it's got my home phone. You can get me at one of those three places. If that car breaks down, I'll come get you. When was the last time the car dealer gave you his home phone number? And on the third one that we bought from him, we did break down, and we were about 90 miles from the dealership, and he came and got us, sent a record, loaded us up, took us to the dealership, no charge, gave me a car because what had happened, it was on a Saturday, he didn't have the particular parts or the personnel to fix it, made arrangements to meet my wife in Cordele at the end of the next week, no charge, gave us a car, filled it up with gas. I bought 7 of them from him. I mean, my family did, I didn't. We bought 7 of them from him. And you know the old commercials where the person was given the bouquet or whatever? They did it first every time my wife bought one from them. They either had a bouquet of roses or they actually took her picture and put it on a calendar. And all this, I mean, they treated her. I mean, he called everybody that worked in that facility, and they did this every time somebody bought a car. They brought everybody, up to and including the person that sweeps the floors, and they said to these individuals, this is Ms. Edison. She just bought a car from us. You are to treat her in the same way that you would treat my wife. She could make an appointment. They kept it. They would wash her car every time she went in. Vacuum the trunk. And now you can understand why I will no longer buy a General Motors product, because after 2008 they eliminated Saturn from their product line. But anyway, they killed the best customer service around. But they were focused on their customer. Is your organization that focused? And obviously you know some that are, because you go there. That's where you spend your money. Second thing, how responsive is your organization? If there's an issue with your product, how quickly do you respond to the individual that brings that to your attention? If there is a change in the market, how quickly are you and your organization able to respond to those changes? Or does it take an act of Congress to have your organization move? How responsive are we? How are we different from our competition? Have we differentiated ourselves enough that people are able to understand how we are different from, how Kohl's is different from Walmart or Kmart or Target? Get a little closer. Yeah. What's different about it that would make you want to go? Have you found that niche that zeroes in? And then how quickly are you ready to focus in on improvement? Everything can be better. Everything can be better. And are we driving that? Or are we content to make just the same old thing? I mean, I gotta admit, when I came to Albany Tech 14 years ago, I thought to myself, well, I'll go there, I'll teach my classes, I'll put in my 10 years, I'll just kind of slide underneath the radar and just maintain. Boy, did that bubble get popped. I'm glad it did, because I've been exposed to things that I would never have been exposed to if I had not come here. And I've had opportunities to not only get training, but to train that I would never have had any other place. So when you're looking at that kind of thing, how much are you willing to improve? I think that I am the oldest person in the room.
You get no arguments out of me.
I also know the second oldest person in the room. I have decided that, you know, one of these days I'm going to retire. Does that mean I'm going to quit work? No. It just means I'm going to do something else. And I'll turn over 67 in October. And I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up.
Oh, in Walmart.
I've thought about that. The idea of being a greeter at Walmart intrigues me. I could put on a show that would keep people coming back. I have this Dr. Seuss top hat. I got a set of sunglasses that have lenses about that big. I can do Welcome to Walmart with a vest on. No? You know, why not? I think that an individual ought to continue to learn and grow and improve. And the idea of me, I can stand loafing about 48 hours. And then I got to find something to do. It's just the way I'm wired. And I hope that you'll gain some ideas about that. Now, the key to making all this happen is the vision. Does your organization have one? Of a place that it would like to be? So, Lean is about streamlining work processes to eliminate waste and non-value added activities. Now, do you see how Lean and Six Sigma are very closely related? One is about eliminating variation and defect. The other is about streamlining processes and eliminating defects and waste, or eliminating waste. Very closely aligned. I'm not sure, and there's a lot of people that would say, well, you can either be Six Sigma or Lean. Okay? I understand that, but why not be both? Why not go after the entire package in the process? So, the Lean fundamental objectives: create the most value while consuming the fewest resources. Look at value from the standpoint of the customer. How many organizations tell you what you want without trying to find out what it is? Car manufacturers are the world's worst. Every year they tell you what you need. You identify which process steps create value and which are only waste. And then Lean works to eliminate the root causes. It reduces costs. P&G will okay a project if it realizes a net savings of 2 cents per case. And you think, that's not a lot. Oh. But you start multiplying that by the number of cases produced a day, a week, and they run 365, 24/7. 2 or 3 cents a case, that's substantial in the course of a year. And if that can be done through delivery time, cycle time, setup, all of that is involved. It improves the quality and the experience of the customer and their overall satisfaction. In order to gain a new customer, how many contacts generally have to be made within an organization to gain that new customer?
That depends on the company though, doesn't it? I mean, you know.
Can, but on the average, if you were trying to attract a new customer, how many contacts would you need to make? Or would you think you might need to make? The average is 12. 12 contacts to get that person in the door. Think about how many ads you hear for a new Cheddar's is coming to town. Anybody been yet? Went yesterday. How many contacts did they make before you went?
Wow, but I ain't make no make with my wife. She always on that stuff, and I go with her.
Okay. How many contacts? How many times she go to Sam's? She go to Sam's?
Yeah, we go there all the time. We go there every
Okay. And they had a nice big billboard out there, didn't they? Coming soon, Cheddar's. Every time you went by, there was that contact.
Well, she probably got a lot of contact because she does hair, so her customers
Okay, customers.
was talking about it.
On the average, 12 to get a new one. How many does it take to keep one? One. Now, which on the scale of economics would be better? Keeping them? Or trying to get new ones? Keeping them. And that repeat customer, they're going to keep coming and buying and spending. And how many of your customers do you know their names? Or at least something.
I see the same people, like, I know exactly what time of day when I actually come to the store.
All right?
It's like that.
Yeah. And you see them. Pay attention to them. You know, hey, it's good to see you.
They ask for our family and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they know. My wife, God love her, she can tell you about, she tells me about people that I have no clue who they are. She knows the nurses in every doctor's office in town. She is on a first name basis with the ER personnel because of what she does. And I mean, and I don't know how many friends she's got on Facebook, but she'll spend 45 minutes every night going through, oh, I saw so-and-so. Who are you talking about? Well, they were, how did you, well, I met them, yeah, huh? Now, you do the same thing at Kohl's. You may not know their names or all this, but you know who they are. You know their preferences. oh, we got this new thing in, da, 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 da. That keeps them coming back because they have that contact. There's a gal, I go to Burger King every morning for a sausage biscuit, okay? I'm a creature of habit, okay? But I go to the one on South Slappy even though I drive by one coming in here. I go to the one on South Slappy primarily because of the girl that runs the drive-thru. Some days I'll pull up to the speaker, she said, drive on around, I got it. She sees me coming in the parking lot. She talks every morning, she'll wave when I leave. I mean, it's just friendly. She makes getting and I spend $1 in there, $1 a day. I don't have 15 kids that I'm buying $30 for, it's $1 a day. But she makes me feel special. And so I go back. I don't know another one on Dawson Road. And I miss her when she's not there because don't get the same kind of service. You're early this morning. That's what she said this morning. She said, you're early this morning. Yeah, I got to get up and go. If I'm late, she said, you're running late. Yeah, I am. Sometimes you'll even say it through the speaker. You're running late this morning. Come on. Anyway, but that customer service keeps me going back. Lead time reduction. How long does it take you to get to stuff? Henry Ford said that one of the most noteworthy accomplishments in keeping the price of Ford products low is the gradual shortening of the production cycle. The longer an article is in the process of manufacture and the more it is moved about, the greater is its ultimate cost. After my in-laws passed away, my wife and I went through all of their stuff, and we found a receipt where my wife's grandfather bought a Model T Ford. One of the first ones that they made. What color could you get a Model T in? Black. How many different size engines did it have? One. How many different types of transmissions did it have? One. You bought a Model T, and it was the same every time it came out. You know how much you paid for it? $348. That was in the 1930s. Okay, in the 1930s, $348. And he took a cutting torch and cut the roof off of it and filled in the back area with boards and used that to transport vegetables and chickens and rabbits all through the hills around Wheeling and West Virginia and St. Clairsville, Ohio, into the mining communities that were back in the hills that had a lot of Polish and Hungarian people living there that didn't have stores. And he would go into those communities and he would trade what he had for what they had because they didn't have any cash. And so he was a rolling grocery store in a Model T Ford. And that's how he and my wife's grandmother survived the Depression, by doing that. I think Henry Ford and his mass production, his assembly line, and now in the modern day fiber optics, is ultimately going to be the two largest inventions in the last 2 centuries. Difference was certainly that in the 20th century. And the more we improve that, the better our processes will be. So the lean framework basically is the same. You have to pay attention to stakeholders, customer requirements, strategies. The focus is somewhat different in that you're actively working to improve the processes. You may have the same type of organization, someone that is championing it, a specific team leader, and then group team leaders. Again, process focused. How do we improve the process and eliminate waste? Again, teams can improve. Teams know where problems are. And we can find ways to eliminate waste. Okay? Again, assessing the current state, where are we? The future state, enabling flow, developing flow. We're going to talk about all of those things. Any questions about the whole Lean Six Sigma idea? This is kind of background. We good? All right, more. So how do we know what our process is? Well, this is one way, and that is we map out the process. This is all in the define phase of the whole Six Sigma Lean program. We're going to look at what a process map is, how we do that, some of the construction steps, and then give you a little bit of experience. So what is a process map? It's a graphical picture of the steps, the boundaries, the decision points within a process. It gives you an overview of all of the different things that are involved in that process. Can also be used as referred to as a flow chart. It has three basic types of symbols to it. An oval begins the process. An oval ends the process. A rectangle identifies a step in the process, and the diamond shape indicates where a decision has to be made. It has directional arrows that are used to show how a particular product is moving through the process. And it begins by identifying the beginning point, ends by the end point, obviously. And then there are multiple levels of process mapping. Here's a top-down process map where you're basically showing how you would bake bread. Receiving the materials, getting the equipment together, getting the ingredients, making the buns, distributing the product. And then underneath that, the specific steps that are involved in that overall step. That's one type of process map. This is a linear process map that describes the process of how to do laundry. Crazy concept. But ladies, you leave to go out of town for a week. Does your significant other know how to do laundry?
He knows how, but he doesn't do it.
He just leaves it to a pile. Well, my wife has basically been occupied for the last 2 years with the job that she has. She cares for an 85-year-old blind lady. And I've learned to do laundry. In fact, I've learned to do laundry so well when she comes in and starts trying to do it, I get anxious. You know, why don't you just leave it alone? Don't mess with my process. I know you separate the whites from the colored stuff. You watch out for reds because they can fade. I've also learned what to spray and what to use goop on to get hard grease out of. I mean, I also know how to fold and dry and fold, that in that order. Okay. I also know where they go in the closet. Anybody need someone to come help you out? I charge. No. But here's the process map. Maybe your husband or significant other knows how to do it, but he can't see it. Process map. How many of you have seen a process map for what you do at work? Oh, I got 3 out of the group. Never seen one.
Surprisingly, no.
Never seen one. Okay? One. Are y'all kind of like the girls at the Marine base? You get the stuff and you send the stuff on, but you don't know where it goes or what happens to it after it leaves. Basically, yeah. Okay?
I was a Marine, surprisingly, we actually had a process on how to, do, an RF in our AMS system. We actually had a process. It was weird because everything else was just, when they had to deal with like a $2,000 piece of equipment, they had a process for it though. It was weird.
Okay. Now, think about this. If at your first day of work, somebody gave you a process map for your job, a visual representation of what you were supposed to do, and where you had to make decisions. Maybe you became productive quicker, rather than guessing. And maybe one of the things you could do as you go along is develop a process map for what you do. So that when it comes to your opportunity to train somebody, you already have a very good tool available to utilize in that regard. Notice it starts up here at the top with do laundry, and then it goes through all of the different steps that are involved until it's actually hung up in the closet. This is a swim lane process map where it takes a process and it identifies every organization within the enterprise where that product touches. Now, as you can tell from this process map, it touches 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 different areas, and sometimes doubles back on itself to touch that area more than one time. These are harder to understand than the linear, but if you want to see where the bottlenecks are, this is an excellent way of going back and looking and seeing how many times this particular item comes back through the same organization for another piece of the puzzle. Great way to look at it to try to eliminate some of that loop problem. Here is a process map for how to actually go through and serve a customer at a self-service kind of buffet. The better restaurants will have one of these, so that there are set times for each of these processes to work. Who has the best process for creating food? Mm-hmm. Yeah, which business or which company would have a specific process for preparing food that really works? Subway.
Oh, yeah.
Subway. I mean, they're one of the few that will actually create a sandwich made to order for the customer. And the process basically is the same in every Subway. You start off with the bread, you get the meat, you get the cheese, and then you get the veggies of your choice. And it's laid out basically the same way. You know, I get a little upset when Granny's there and she has 12 orders and she's fishing in her 5-gallon purse for a nickel. You know, it'll slow things down a little bit. But they do have a good process if it's worked properly. So, you select the process, you identify the boundaries, you determine the key steps and the decision points, you use symbols to draw the flow of the steps, you have your team members and others review and finalize the process map, and then you analyze the chart for improvement opportunities. At SIPOC and what is involved in that, some forms and examples, construction steps and interpretation, as well as an example of it. So, when we're thinking about what SIPOC is, okay? Each of those letters stands for a different entity. The S stands for suppliers. Excuse me. I is for inputs. P is process. O is outputs. And C is the customer. And we want to figure out what is involved in each of those categories. All right, SIPOC form documents a process from what the suppliers give you all the way to the end product that is delivered to the customer. Okay? And it helps you to understand the scope of the project, and we'll talk a little bit more about project scope in a little while. It includes the information necessary to balance competing customer requirements. Like they want a customer will want highest quality at the lowest price. Well, sometimes you can't do that. Okay? But that is what they desire. Okay? So that's a competing demand. It lets you see where the gaps are. It verifies information and resource requirements. And it helps process owners to understand what are the right things that need to be measured in the process. So here is the form. Okay? You always start in the middle and identify the process that you're wanting to evaluate. This is a customer order that triggers a planning for requirements, and the manufacturing center actually confirms the schedule for meeting that customer order. Now that sounds fairly simple and straightforward until you start delving into it deeper. Notice the list of suppliers on the far left-hand side. Your customer is actually supplying to you these inputs. They are supplying the order quantity as well as the specific part number that they are ordering. It's not like, and ladies, I don't mean to be sexist when I say this, it's not you going to Ford Nation with a problem and you say, well, I've got a problem and it sounds like boogity, boogity, boogity. Now, most mechanics that I know of do not understand woogity, boogity, boogity. The customer should be able to identify specifically what they are wanting and the part number for that, so that you are not having to guess. But that isn't always the case. I knew a gentleman that worked for the Dodge Chrysler dealership here in town for almost 30 years. He had never touched a computer in his life, but he knew every part and part number that that dealership utilized. Even after he retired, they would ask him to come back to help them with inventory because parts would get put into the wrong bin, and he could invariably tell them what the part was and what the part number was. He had a memory that just was phenomenal. Had never touched a computer a day in his life. Wouldn't even know how to turn one on. And it's his wife that my wife takes care of. It was amazing. He could rattle it off. He said, oh, that's a 403-786. Of course, you know, you touch anything over a period of 30 years over and over again, some of that sticks, but a lot of it stuck with him. So he could, you know, he could call up the distributor and without the use of a computer or whatever, tell them exactly what he needed. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, most of us are not like that. So the customer has a responsibility in this, to identify the quantity that they need and the particular number that they are wanting to have. The customer also has to request the date when that product is going to be delivered. Client calls you. I want to have this event sometime in October. Is that enough information? No. What else would you like to have?
I need the date and design.
The date, the time, exactly what it is they want, i.e. the order quantity and the part number. Are you talking a 20-minute doodah, or are you talking 4 or 5 hours? And there's probably a lot of other information you want too, which is okay. But being on the receiving end, being on the business end, and dealing with customers, sometimes you really have to pull that information out of them. Okay, but you got it. You now have the customer order. And the next step in the process is looking at your manufacturing center, and they have to tell you what's the lead time going to be for that order. I know they want it by then, but do we have enough time to actually get it there? Because it takes us X amount of time in order to fill that order. The business unit has to provide you with the price, and it has to be accurate and correct. It can't be, well, I think it's $249.50. It can't be an I think. They've got to know. And the sales department has to determine whether or not this is a Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3 customer. Now, when you're talking Tier 1, 2, and 3, what does that mean in terms of a customer?
Right?
Hmm?
You are right.
Okay, yes, it's a ranking, but what does that mean?
It's like VIP, because they're doing like a VIP. It's kind of repeat customer, good customer. Sometimes it's kind of how many inventory they buy from you.
All right. So, Procter & Gamble out here gets Joe's Corner Market for 6 cases of Charmin. And then they get Target's order for 400 cases of Charmin. And then they looking at Walmart's order for 10,000 cases of Charmin. Guess which one's going to go to the top of the list?
Walmart.
Guess who may pay a higher price per case?
Sit down on the pop shoulder.
No,
Joe's Corner Market. Now, is that fair?
Nope. But, I mean, it ain't. But, I mean, I guess you can say it is because they buying more. So like you buying a wholesale, you getting in a wholesale market.
Business.
It's not. No, it's not fair, but you gotta look at the cost. How many employees I got? I got to pay this amount, X amount of employees to be here regardless of how many they got. So you have to look at this boy, you got to pay out. We got to be done, so a lot of that's added into that figure.
That's one of the struggles that the mom and pops face over against the Targets and the Kmarts and the Walmarts of the world. Because that 6 cases that Joe's orders may last them 2 weeks. And that 10,000 cases may last Walmart same length of time. And it's going to cost P&G more in terms of labeling, pulling, shipping, to send that 6. It's going to cost them about as much as it would for either of the other 2. Because you don't have, 10,000 cases, you just stick that on a trailer and make sure the count's right. And drop it over here, wherever the street is, right up there, for delivery. For Joe's, you got to pull 6 cases, you got to label every case, you got to get a private carrier to send that and take them, and the private carrier is going to charge you more than the fleet carrier will. So it may wind up costing P&G to take care of 6 in this, at a much higher rate per case than what it would be for either Target or Walmart. Fair? No. But they're trying to recoup. That's what makes it difficult. One of the guys in the Black Belt works out at Coates and Clark. Their biggest supplier, their biggest customer is Walmart.
Oh, they come.
For P&G, their biggest customer, Walmart. For Purdue Farms, they get an order for 150,000 pounds of chicken. For Walmart. And the schedule gets scrambled in order to meet that customer demand. Because they don't need it, Walmart might not call back.
I don't need it. I'll take care of Walmart. I'm stay in business.
Well, and for large organizations, that's not as big of a deal. For some organizations, being a preferred Walmart supplier is a real pain. Because their operation may not handle. It may handle current demand, but what if Walmart really liked your product and needed twice as much next year?
They gotta go find a new manufacturer.
They got to look for it. So, that supplier information is vital to the process. And if you're looking at a problem within a process, understanding where all of that stuff comes from is vital. Then looking at the outputs. Production schedule. It's within capacity as far as the lead time is concerned. Confirmed customer orders. Okay? You got that. From the manufacturing center, I've got enough safety stock. I can deal with this over a 30, 60 time frame. Fill rate, I can do that at a greater than 95%. And I've got 10 turns, 10 cycles of inventory that I can work with to fill that. So from the customer, manufacturing center, business unit, I can take care of what my customer wants. And the manufacturing center is the one that gets the information there. The customer gets his assurance. Management has the opportunity then to plan. Business unit is able to deal with management and the other customers. And ultimately, the sales department can respond to the management issues in that regard. Now, let me back up. You always want to start in the middle, dealing with process, looking at what the outputs of that process are, what are the requirements, who the customer is, and then going back to the inputs, who supplies it, and what do you expect out of it. It's kind of a backwards way of doing it, but you look at the process, what you're outputting, and then how is it going to be supplied. Now, from another standpoint, production is going to do another SIPOC and identify where all the raw